Afternoon, this is Jeff again from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. Continuing on the love we're showing to the S10. One last thing that we wanted to do was we have about 233,000 miles on this vehicle. When I originally got the vehicle, it had about 112,000 miles on there, and I've put rebuilt the transmission on it, rebuilt the engine on it, so nothing has actually been done to the driveline. We just finished putting four-wheel brakes on it, so the driveline has never been shown any attention. Unfortunately, on the U-joints, there are no grease fittings, so they call it lifetime lubrication. My question would be, whose lifetime? I don't really trust stuff like that. I tend to take and do maintenance on them anyway. Over here we have 3 brand new Moog universal joints. I like Moog parts, very high quality. Not a sponsor, I just really like them. Never had any problems with them or anything. So we have the vehicle over the pit. So this is a rear differential. This is one universal joint right here. There's another universal joint right here. And there's another universal joint right here. So 1, 2, 3. And then it's got a carrier bearing in the middle. So carrier bearing is tight, so that's a good thing. So it doesn't look like we have to do anything with that. There's not any cracking or anything on there. On this slip yoke that's right here, I have actually hit that with the grease gun a couple of times. Okay, but on these universal joints, there is no grease fitting, so it makes me very suspicious. These are the type of U-joints that there's a clip that is right in here that is holding the bearing cap in, and that's on both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the driveline out of this, and next time you see this, it is going to be on our bench in the back shop, and we are going to be changing 3 universal joints on there, and the tools required, and basically how you do it. And so everybody knows how to pull the drive shaft out. There's 4 bolts here, 2 bolts on the bearing cap here, two here. There's 2 bolts right here that are on the carrier bearing, and then we have a tool that we use whenever we take and do a transmission overhaul to keep from leaking all over the place. We have a tool that goes in the back of the transmission, keeps the fluid from leaking out. We made that in our machine shop here, so they are available commercially from what I understand. But let's get this puppy out, and let's get it in the back shop and get some work done it. So here we have the drive shaft out of the vehicle and in the back shop. So the first thing we're going to do is do a complete inspection on it and see if there's any dings or dents in it. And this looks pretty good, actually. It's smooth to the touch, a little bit of oxidation on here. So what I think we're going to do is, before we put it back in, we're going to very lightly sand it, and then we're going to take and put a coat of paint on it to keep the corrosion down. The universal joints that are in this, when you take and move them, there should be a little bit of resistance, and this one right here is not actually too bad at all. However, if you go up to the yoke portion of it that goes into the transmission, okay, you should make sure this area is nice and smooth, that there aren't any worn spots on there. This is actually very nice. This, however, this is too sloppy. Okay, there should be more resistance here, and so this joint here is worn. So next thing we're going to do is right inside here, this little C-clips, and we're going to be taking those out for the entire drive shaft, so we can take and start pressing these joints out. Just in case the drive shaft is balanced, this is a balancing weight right here. You want to make sure that's tight, it's still welded tight on there. Take and put a mark from here to here, and then from here to here, you know, just in case the drive shaft is balanced. If you put it together wrong, you'll have a vibration, and you won't really know what's going on with the thing, and it'll probably be a high-speed vibration. So yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to have to repair. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to take those little C-clips out of there, and then we'll set up the tool to take and start pressing this apart. Instead of using the tool, there's another way to do it. You can put this in a vise, and after you take the clips out, you can hammer on this with a socket, and you can force these out and then force them back the other way to take and get the spider out. But I don't recommend that. You know, best to take and use the tools. There is a U-joint bearing removal set that is available at most auto parts stores for rent, and then what they'll do is they'll charge you the price for the thing, and then when you bring it back, they'll take and refund you that. So that might be the best way to go. Okay, so let's start in on it. Let's get all those clips out. All right, so we had the tool set up on the first universal joint, the one on the yoke that we're going to be doing first. And to tell you the truth, I put the Big Mama electric impact wrench on there, and I didn't know if that was going to come apart or not. Turns out it did. And one thing that is nice is that this tool pushes the entire U-joint all the way full way through, and a lot of times what you got to do is push it to one side, and then to take and get the joint apart, you have to take and push it back the other side to take and get the other part of the joint out, and then the spider will come out of here. Okay, but these have some kind of sealant on them or something, and yeah, this did not want to take and come apart, and when it came apart, it was kind of a bang. So I won't subject you to that, but we're going to set up the next one, and we'll have this yoke off and this other joint apart. The way you take and get the spider apart, which is a part inside here, since you already have it pushed over to one side, you can just go ahead and unscrew the cap off like this. It just pulls right off. Okay, and then you go ahead and push it over to one side, and then this will actually come back out. You can pry it out, and you can get the other cap off. Okay, so let me go ahead and set up for the other side, and I'll show you what that looks like. So it turns out that they can get this joint off. Yes, I did have to take and put the tool back on there and push the other cap out the other side and get that off. So now we can go ahead and very easily get the spider joint apart. Okay, so yeah, these are not coming apart easy, but this tool is making it pretty good. Got this tool in a kit from our favorite store. And this kit is from OMT. This one right here, yeah, it doesn't have a number on it, but let's see. It is 21-piece universal ball joint service kit, but the thing is, you know, you can use it for U-joints too. So it's got a bunch of different fittings and all this kind of stuff for the different ball joints. On trucks, you can use it to press out brake pins as well. So it's pretty handy. So we have the yoke that is off. And what we did is we marked, see there's a single white line on there to take and mark. And there's a single white line on here to make sure we get everything oriented. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up to go ahead and take the second part apart so we can get the spider out. So when we have the tool set up on there, you can see that the tool is centered on the bore because this plug right here is going to be pressed out. And we also want to make sure that this is on the center right here. You want to take and turn the tool so it is against the drive shaft on the bottom, because when you take and put the big mama impact wrench on there, it's going to turn this whole tool. Okay, so we'll go ahead and press this out the other way. Okay, so we started pressing the cap out, and of course it came apart with a ping, so you know this thing is moving. And we want to take and push this over as far as we possibly can so that the cap will go into the receiver. And you can see that the cap is coming out in there. So we want that loose, and then we can take and push the spider back the other way to take and put the other cap back far enough so we can take and get everything apart. Okay, so just like the other side, we have this pressed all the way to one side. We can go ahead and just pull the bearing cap off. Okay, and then we can set it up. We can line this back up to push it back the other way and extract this cap out, and then we can get the spider out. Okay, so we have the tool that is lined up on the bearing cap. We have the bearing cap lined up with the bore, and then we have the push pin lined up on the center here, and we'll put the impact on it and we'll drive it back the other way. Okay, so we have the other cap that's been pushed all the way through, and we just wiggle it a little bit. That comes off, and then spider just comes out like that. Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and clean this up, and we'll sandpaper this very, very lightly, and then we only got 3 more to do. Woohoo! So we'll go through the installation procedure for the the new U-joints, and I'll show you that next. So you may ask why I'm changing these things. Okay, if you look here, this one is dry and it's scored, and also this bearing cap right here, this is completely dry. Okay, so this is a failure that is waiting to happen. There's supposed to be grease in there. If you look at one of the other ones, there is a little bit of grease left in that one, but as far as I'm concerned, these have never been changed. Okay, so it's a good idea that we decided to take and change these things out. Okay. Okay, so we got these the inside boards here is all cleaned up, and we ordered 3 parts because 1, 2, 3 of the universal joints are the same, and this is what it looks like. So we always check the parts before we put them in. We have to take and pull off the bearing caps, and when you go ahead and you pull these off, take some grease and put it in the little roller bearings that are inside there. So when you're pressing them together, the roller bearings do not come out. If they do, the bearing caps will not seat properly, and you can see they should be with this little rubber O-ring on there or flange gasket or whatever the heck you call it should be right up against the body of the spider, so that if it's not and you can't get the clip on, probably one of the needle bearings has taken and falling down inside, and so you don't want that because that makes it unusable. If you put that into service like that, it'll just destroy itself. So what we do is we take these caps off. There's a little bit of grease in there, but we put another little coating of grease in there to take and make sure that the bearings stay in place when you're pressing them in. Okay, so we try to take and just use manual tools to take and get them started because the jarring from the impact wrench has a tendency to take and dislodge those. But if you grease them real good, they should go together no problem. These have a place for a grease fitting, so don't put the grease fitting in until you're finished pressing them all together and everything, because you'll just take and damage it. And then after you get the new bearing pressed in, you'll go ahead and hit them with the grease gun before you take and put this into service. So let's get them lined up, and let's get the clips on the thing and see how they go. Okay, so we got our bearings caps greased, and we tried them on the spider. Everything's good. So we have our tools set up. Make sure everything is on axes and the spider is in about the center. And I like to use a crescent wrench to take and get these things started until they're almost there, and then use the impact wrench. You take and push one side in enough so you can take and get the snap ring on. Okay, and there's a packet of snap rings that comes with the kit. Okay, and they are right there. So we haven't taken them out of the package yet. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and press those in, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, we've pressed it in just using the crescent wrench, and we have one of the rings so that it is just inside here. So we can go ahead and we can tap this into place, and then we can continue pressing the other side in. Okay, so we have both of the snap rings in, and yeah, actually looks pretty good. So the bearing caps are seated properly, and one of them looks like a little bit out from the other side, but the inside is equidistant. That's the way it was when we saw it. It's just something to do with the machining on the shaft. That's the reason we put the line on there, to make sure that we get everything back together correctly. So we'll go ahead and put the yoke on. So the yoke here is the next part with our line in there. So it's going to go just like that. We'll get our bearings on there, and then we'll have one joint finish. Okay, so we have both pieces pressed together, and we have the snap lock rings in both sides. Okay, and they're top and bottom. Last thing to do is put the grease fitting in and then hit it with the grease gun. Okay, so we have our grease fitting back in there, and we've hit that with the grease, and so this joint is nice and tight, and we give it one more check over and make sure we got everything right, got all our clips in, and everything's tight, and that's all there is to it. This is not the easiest job I've ever done. It's not the hardest job I've ever done. If you have the right tools, you can take and get this this kit from our favorite store, Amazon, and it's about $112, I guess. But the thing is, it's the easiest, safest way to take and do the job when you have the right tools. Okay, so we didn't damage anything. Everything went together as it was supposed to. We did go to one of the neighborhood auto parts stores, and we got the universal joints, the ones they said were for this vehicle, and they were incorrect. So we ordered from a place in New Jersey, and after returning those from the local auto parts store, so we just got these today. So we ordered 3 of them. All the joints are the same. We have the second one here, which will go in here, and so we'll start doing that one in a couple of minutes. And the last one, however, the very first one that we tried, we always want to make sure that each one of these bearings turns freely on the end of the spider, and this one here did not. We took and opened it up, and there is metal in there, so we are going to have to we're going to have to make some decision on that. This is Thursday, so we're going to see what they want to do with this. Either they can air or express one to us. It sounds like what they want to do is they want to take and have this one back, gawk at it for a couple of days, and then take and send us another one, and that might be unacceptable. So we got a couple other things going on. We did a little bit of body work on the truck, so we have paint tomorrow after the marine layer burns off, so we'll start that about 10 a.m. and it'll be dry in about 2 hours. We also ordered a part for the steering column, so we have that taken apart. We have the old part out. We need to take and put the new part in, so we'll be getting that tomorrow at about 10 a.m. So I'll send everyone over to get that, and we'll get it. But those are the last 3 things: steering column, paint, drive shaft. Okay, so what we might do is we might see if somebody locally has one of these, because we actually have a part number. If you can see that. My camera is not focusing for some reason, I don't know why. But anyway, might see if we can get one locally. But hope I've given you some good information. As I said, not the easiest job, but you can do it. Go get you some tools. We always take on jobs sometimes just so we can buy a new tool, because guys like tools. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day. You take care. We'll see you next time.